On the other side, yeah.
All right,
Right, I'm going to go find a chair somewhere.
once the meeting starts, so can you just make sure better make sure the big people. Cool. Did you pack lunch too?
Yeah, that's all
They need to just go, right, halloumi salad for everyone.
Yeah.
Terry was up there.
That was beautiful.
I went to South Africa to find the All Blacks and they did a big safari.
Right, good morning, delegates. Welcome to the area meeting. I'll just get our Treasurer Brian Lynch to do some housekeeping before I officially open the meeting. Brian?
Okay, welcome you to our lovely club as well. Just a little bit of a thing, men's and women's are out there. If we do have a shake, please get under the table. The lift's not to be used. That's our only exit. If we have a fire, go down there and then actually back out there and out into the rain and into the car park that's full of cars, which is really good to see. Unfortunately, none of them are there. They're all over there playing housey, but it's good to see. And welcome, and I hope you have a good time.
Thanks, Brian. Before I officially open the meeting, just a couple of things. If you wish to speak, can you please clearly state your name and the club you represent? We've got a new minute taker here, so that would be very helpful for her. And the second thing is I had a late call from the Honourable Chris Bishop last night to say he's sorry he cannot attend today. His wife, who gave birth 2 weeks ago, is unwell, so he sends his apologies. Okay, so welcome everyone. I'd like to move that the apologies be accepted. Do I have a seconder?
Second it, Bruce Winter.
Bruce Winter.
Love
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Confirmation of the previous minutes held at the Tony Club on the 5th of May. Would someone like to move they are a true and correct record?
All wrong.
Seconder?
Yeah, second it, Tony.
Are there any matters arising from those minutes? Okay, I move that the minutes be approved. Second that. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Welcome to Terry Ray, Clubs New Zealand President, all the way from Tokoroa, and Lucy Waterers, our new CEO. Terry, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dave. It's always both a privilege and a pleasure to come and speak at a Club New Zealand area meeting, and having Dave as my vice chair is also a pleasure and a privilege. We work really well together, and we're hoping to continue to do that. I'll start off by talking about the changing of the guard at Clubs New Zealand. As you're aware, Club New Zealand CEO Larry Graham officially set to retire on the 31st of December after 16 years with the movement. We had 48 applicants for the job. Dave and I did all the interviews. Even we didn't interview the chef from Bombay that just applied for the chef's job via email. But some top applicants there, and Lucy was formerly our operations manager, and it's a great pleasure to say she is now our CEO. So I'm really, really pleased with that. So Lucy started officially as CEO on the 1st of October, and the very next day she travelled to Melbourne with me to visit the Clubs Australia AGM. So it was a great time to introduce her to our Australian colleagues. We also took advantage of an invitation to 10 Crown Casino, not to play the machines, but to look at the new carded system that they're integrating into all Crown casinos. What it actually means is that before you can play, you have to get a card, and the card then monitors how much you're spending and how much time you're going to spend on the machine. If you exceed that time, it will shut you down, and you can't use that card in any casino in Australia until that time limit is up. You can set your limits, a maximum of $1,000, I think it was, that you can take it up to. If you try and reduce it, the reduction is immediate, but if you try and extend it past that 1,000 or any other way, it won't happen for 2 days. And it's an interesting concept. It is something that Sky Casino are integrating as well, and we understand they're using the same software. So far, Crown Casinos have spent 10 million on that. And if it happens here, which it could do, Lucy's been had conversations with the DIA, probably 4 or 5 years away, Luce, at least. But it's a possibility that that could happen here, and that way you won't have to scan your game room as much as you do. And I guess facial recognition will come with that as well. They're not that happy about introducing that in Australia. Well, Clubs Australia isn't, but like us, they'll just have to comply. Clubs New Zealand's been very, very busy delivering training, and they've completed more than 600 club and staff committee training for problem gambling, armed robbery, and of course keeping up with gaming machine compliance. It's a big achievement for our small team, and I know Lucy and Keith both spend a lot of time on the road, and really thank them and the team for what they've done. And it's really, really good that we're able to deliver that training at a minimal cost. Not like the old days where everything was covered by your capitation fee. We do have to put a small charge on that, and it's minimal compared to some of the private people that you will go out to. The other thing that's been keeping Lucy particularly busy is the new constitutions for the Incorporated Societies Act. You're all aware that Club New Zealand has a template that we produced, and I'm not aware, I don't think Lucy is either, of any clubs that have put an application in using that template being declined. There are a number of clubs out there that have put in their new constitution and not realised that there are some subtle changes in there, and I can give you an example of an AGM I attended where the incoming president didn't realise in their new constitution it stated that if your spouse partner is a employee of the club, then you can't stand for an executive position. So he had to withdraw at the last minute, not realising that that was the case. And so you really need to be careful and make sure you read your constitutions properly. I can't believe that particular club had an AGM and they'd missed something as simple as that, but I guess it does happen. There's been a big uptake on the Clubs New Zealand app. My area meeting last weekend, Lee spoke on that and presented a bit of a presentation on it. The app is making it easy to visit clubs. Staff can quickly identify the reciprocal visitors. There is a Q code on there now, and that integrates with most clubs' door systems. If you haven't had it done, just give Lee a call and he'll have a look and see whether it does comply. Doesn't match all door systems, but it doesn't take much to do it, and it may just be a simple thing to do just by spending about $200, I think it is, for a Q code scanner, and that will be integrated into your system. Club New Zealand insurance scheme continues to grow. We now have 189 members out of 315 clubs that are members. Unfortunately, at the current stage, we now have about 12 clubs. We have about 12 PGs on our books, and what that does to our liability. Once we get above 207% liability, then we've got to be really, really careful where we go with that. And we're really trying to emphasise that make sure you get in touch with Club New Zealand Insurance if you are, or even your own insurer, to stop your club taking a big hit with a PG. As a result of our liability blowing out, obviously that's going to have a little bit of an effect on your what's the word for it? Not so much on the premiums, but on your when you claim the excess. That's what I'm trying to think. Yeah, on the excess. So at the moment, your excess is about $1,000. Generally, if a club makes a claim, that will hit. Sorry, it's $500. And generally, if you make a claim, it goes up to $1,000 for 12 months. Then will come down if you make no further claims. That could go a little bit higher than that. It could go up as high as $2,000. And what we will do to try and compensate that is allow you an hour with a Clubs New Zealand lawyer for free, an employment lawyer, rather than the half hour that you currently have. Something we're watching really closely. Club New Zealand Insurance is obviously still making a profit for us. It's always feel like an insurance salesman pushing it, which isn't really my role, but I am a director of Club New Zealand Insurance, and it'd be good if when your premiums are due for renewal, you do give Club New Zealand the opportunity to come in, Club New Zealand Insurance to come in and have a look and compare apples with apples.
Jerry, you're saying an incredible amount of people are putting in claim PGs in it, and it's obviously going to impact on this, as you've just alluded to.
Yeah.
Are we analysing the reasons why these PGs
we definitely are?
And
yep.
Is it down to the fact we've got amateurs running multi-million-dollar businesses, or personalities, or is it a mixture of stuff? It's a mixture of that, and you're quite right in your comments there. We are, I know that the Club Smart training's been reviewed and brought up to date, and something that Lucy and the team are working on to get more people involved in that. The training manuals are, where are we at with the training manuals, Lucy?
For the governance.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's that. We've run 2 of the governance training sessions as a trial. So those are looking pretty good, and we're just tweaking a few things, and we'll be able to roll those out with those manuals that go with it. So there's a bit of upskilling on the governance front. There are also PGs happening where it's staff taking the PGs, so it's at different levels, and we've just got to make sure that we've got the support there to help where they come in, and that 1 hour legal advice I think will be a big help on that, because it is just getting that process right from the beginning.
Yeah, thanks, Lucy. We're really aware of the lack of business acumen on committees out there. This seems to be a huge thing, and a lot of presidents thinking that they can basically do what they want. We've just got to sort of manage that. And like it is a mix of a number of things. We are really looking at it quite deeply. Judith is really working hard, and Mary, our 2 reps, to keep on top of that. and we're just keeping our ear to the ground. Lucy quite often rings me, or I'll ring her if we hear something that's going on out there, and we'll see if we can help put that fire out so we don't get to a PG stage. But just unfortunate, that's the most we've ever had on our books, and there could be a couple more that I've heard in the grapevine. That's something we will continue to work on. Club New Zealand Insurance is in good shape, though. Really happy with where we're at, and we will have a profit this year. Small profit, and not into big profits. I mean, it's always nice to make a profit, as you well know, but Club New Zealand Insurance is for the members, and it's not about making money on it. It's about providing the best service we possibly can. We are some more news on the sporting front. As you're aware, we've for a number of years we've given you anyone hosting a sporting event $300 and some goodie bags, some stuff for your goodie bags. Well, after discussion in Lisa's first staff meeting, the decision's been made, yet to be passed by the board, but that we will do away with the goodie bags, and we'll be putting a bit more money in. So at this stage, Kate's come up with a 3-tier system, and there are 2 options. One could be that if you have 100 entries and under, that you might still just get $300, or you may get $400 for 100 and under. For anything up to 500, you might get $800 put in from Clubs New Zealand, and up to 1,000 for, say, a big national event. We have some tiers printed out and draft, and when we have the next boarding, we'll discuss that further. But what it will mean to our budgets, and that's something we have to consider, is at the moment we put $15,600 a year in, and if we do make these changes, given the paperwork that I have in front of me, we're probably looking at about 25k investment, which is a huge jump, but it's got to be within budget. And Lucy and I are confident that we'll come up with the best solution and a better solution. And instead of getting stuff lost by couriers and sending you out a Kit Kat bar, we'll eat what's left, and then we'll give you more money. We know there's a lot of pressure on clubs right now in terms of regulation and cash flow. I'm a little concerned, and we had this conversation over breakfast today, with the lack of interest in banks and helping clubs out. Even if they've, I know of one club that's got an undischarged mortgage and they've got the ability to repay a loan, and they're going through the process of applying for that. And their accountant has already said to me that he doesn't think that it'll happen. Banks are just not interested in investing in clubs. They see them as a bad investment and a liability. And had the conversation with Lucy and Dave today, what can we do better? What can we do to help our clubs? So it's something for us to look at, but it is a concern. And it used to be just a couple of banks, but now it seems to be all banks that are just not playing the game. So it's a little bit of a worry, and we don't like to see any club go under, and it's it's in our best interest and what we do at Clubs New Zealand to help these clubs. Unfortunately, a lot of them come to us when the doors are just about to close, and there's not much we can do. But if we can help in any way, just give us a call. Just like to give a huge thanks to Larry Graham for everything he's put into Clubs New Zealand over the years. He's been a great advocate for the movement, and will still be around in an advisory capacity. He came to his last area meeting with me last week, and looked on the agenda and saw I had him down as a consultant, and he said, "Oh, I think I'm still a CEO." I said, "Have a look on the Club New Zealand website." It says Lucy, CEO, and you're a consultant. he saw the funny side of it and said, "Yeah, no, that's all good." And he's in a good space. He's actually, as we speak, he's down at the Black Ball Club, one of the smallest clubs we have in New Zealand, with our area board member Graham Olsen for his area meeting, and he was at Club Waimea yesterday for the split meeting they had, and tried ringing him last night, but they must have been getting drowned out in all that rain, because he hasn't rung me back yet, but I have no doubt he will. He just bought a camper van. That's what he did last Saturday after he took off from the meeting, and no doubt he'll be paying a few visits to clubs around the area. He'll still be around, and we're just really pleased to have had the time we've had with him, and the input he has and he's put into the hospitality industry in Clubs New Zealand has been amazing. So really wish him well in his retirement. That's pretty much it from me. If you've got any questions, happy to take them. Otherwise, it's Lucy's turn.
No questions for Terry? All right, we'll crack on.
Thanks, Terry.
All good.
You can take over now, Lucy.
I can take over, thank you. So yeah, as Terry mentioned, we've hit the ground running and came on in this new role from 1 October, and the team and I have got together and we've started planning out for next year, and it's full steam ahead, and we're quite excited about just getting stuck in and putting things in motion next year. And our overall focus as we move into next year is going to be on raising the profile of Clubs New Zealand, and working to increase our member engagement, because we are aware there are a lot of small clubs out there, particularly in the regions, that we don't hear from a lot, and we just want to make sure that they're part of that community and feel part of the club community as well. As Terry said as well, I think it was 2 days into the job and headed over to Melbourne for the Clubs Australia meeting, which was brilliant. It was great to meet the counterparts over there, and they were all really welcoming of me particularly. The Crown Casino bit was very interesting, but the discussion that I had that really piqued my interest over there was that New South Wales have just agreed to, the government over there have repealed the 5k radius rule. So if you go to a club in Australia, if you live within a 5k radius, you have to be a member of that club. If you live outside of that 5k radius, then you just drop your driver's license as you go in, and that's proving that you don't live within that radius. So they've repealed that, and that's all part of their vibrancy reforms over in Australia, and getting people to come out again and get into the clubs. And so what they've said is it shouldn't be up to government to decide who can come into a club or not. It's up to the clubs to decide that. So that really piqued my interest, and I think that's a bit of a conversation starter for us when we're talking to government about is Section 60 actually, is it old and is it antiquated, and are there things we can do to actually make things easier for clubs? So that'll definitely be a conversation we have going forward. A big focus at the moment is conference. So Richmond Club next year, Friday 21 through to Sunday 23 of March. So Michelle is doing an absolutely fantastic job there, getting the groundwork laid for that conference. It'll be same format as previous years, where we have the expo on the Friday, main conference day on Saturday, and then AGM Sunday. So we should wrap up about midday on the Sunday there. So really looking forward to that, and we're hoping that the registrations will open early December for that one. The couple of things just to, if you haven't done them already, the Clubs New Zealand Constitution, we have circulated the documents for that. So if you have any feedback, please come back to us 22nd of November. That way that the board can have a look at that at the next board meeting coming up in December. The plan is that the board will be putting the Constitution to the AGM for adoption so that we can re-register under the new Act. And of course we've got the census going on at the moment. So if your club hasn't completed the census, please get that to us by the end of November. That's a really important tool for us and just creating that snapshot that we can then take to government decision makers and put that in front of them. And that actually got us a lot of conversations with various politicians the last time we did it. So really, really important tool. Just running through some of the other things that have been going on. We've held, I think we did 4 of the Back to Basics managers courses in the office in Wellington this year. All of those were full, and it was a great couple of days having the people in the office and just going through what's happening there. And it's not just new managers that's targeted at, it's people that have been around. We had a few people bring committee members along to it as well, just so that you can spend a couple of days with us and just see what's going on and what makes the clubs tick. You're all over I'm not going to go over Incorporated Societies Act. Just make sure you've got April 2026 in your head if you haven't already. That's when you've got to be re-registered by. Class 4 gaming space. So we are down. So the number of clubs that are operating gaming that are our members, that's 148, and that's down from 158 in December last year. So 10 clubs that have dropped their licenses. Majority of that is the smaller clubs that have just said it's not for us anymore. It's become too difficult, cost of compliance. Admittedly, a couple of those are are clubs that forgot to put their licence applications in, and 6 months later the DIA went, oh shoot, you guys shouldn't be operating anymore. So those ones are working to see what they can do and if they can get their licence back.
Jared Tree's going to make plenty of money out of that, I can assure you.
Yeah, so working.
So
Jared's
some of those were pushed out by the local police and what have you?
It's not police. So there are 2 clubs that I'm aware of that just simply forgot to renew their licence, and obviously the DIA picked up on that eventually and said, right, you turn your machines off. And the challenge that they have is that the councils in which they operate have sinking lid policies. So they're over the 6-month period, so it's apply for a new licence, and if you've got a sinking lid policy, there's no new licences. So they've just got to try and see if, I think they've got to, one particular place, they've got to apply for ministerial consent now to see if that'll go through. Hopefully it will. I think the council are on board with them and recognise that it was an honest mistake that was made. And then the others, it's smaller venues that had 3-4 machines. The machines were really quite old, and then with the new compliance requirements, they've just decided it wasn't for them anymore. As Terry said, we've delivered our problem gambling awareness training for this year. Keith and I visited nearly every club in the country that operates gaming machines, which was brilliant, being able to sit down in those clubs and just chat about what's going on. I think nearly everyone that I spoke to is feeling all right at the moment, got through the initial shock of these regulations, and is really just at the point of getting on and doing what you have to do to comply, and members are generally up to speed with what's going on now, understand why you're doing what you're doing, staff are on board with it, and I think the DIA are, certainly the regulators that we're talking to, they're recognising the work that's going on in the club space. So they are seeing the effort that's being made, and it's not going unnoticed. Keith and I were able to sit down recently with Vicky Scott, who's the director of the gambling group, and Ben, who's the deputy director. And that was a really, really positive discussion, really keen to work with us on a number of things, and we've got some pretty good feedback loops going on where they're giving us the feedback from the regulators, and then we're feeding in what clubs are bringing back to us. So we know that one of the larger clubs down south got visited at bang on lunchtime on a Thursday afternoon when it was chock-a-block in the club. Effectively, lead staff member was taken out for an hour and a half because the DIA showed up. We're able to say that really doesn't work. Can we just work on those timings? And they appreciate that feedback. So that's really good. And it is I'm very confident in saying that it's the best relationship that we've had with the DIA in a long time, and just that constructive feedback we're able to give each other is great. On the employment relations front, obviously we've got pretty big concerns around those PGs that are coming up. So we're talking with insurance, we're talking with the lawyers from insurance, get some resources there. A bit of a cheat sheet, but if something's coming up, these are the steps that you follow. But if anything comes up, if there's anything that's looking like it might turn a bit nasty with staff or with your manager, just get on the phone with your insurance as the first point of call. Let them know. They'll either say talk to our lawyers, talk to your lawyers, but here's the process, follow these steps, and that's going to put you in a much better position if things do progress. I can't remember if at the last meeting where we were with the fair pay agreements, but that is now fully put to bed. Employment Relations Authority did determine that they didn't have jurisdiction to fix that fair pay agreement once it was repealed, so that's fantastic news. If That's not to say that if Labour come back in at the next election, I imagine that they'll be pretty quick to put that back on the table again. So it's one of those things we've just got to keep an eye out for. We submitted on the health and safety consultation that was going through recently, so we'll see what comes of that. And then obviously there's the Holidays Act reform. They've just done a targeted consultation on that, and as I figured out after speaking with you, Trina, we got the thanks but no thanks, we don't need you for the targeted consultation, but once that opens up more widely, we'll certainly submit on that one. And then obviously we're coming up to the time of year, special licences for over Christmas. Just check in with your councils and make sure what your requirements are there so that you're on board with all of that. I mentioned it down at the managers meeting that we had recently that we're seeing some pretty interesting interpretations coming out from police and particularly medical officer of health. They've got a real renewed energy, and West Coast is a really good example. They had a lot of the venues and clubs down there had their licences opposed, and Blackpool, where Larry is at the moment, so they put in their licence renewal. The police said, well, reduce your hours by 50% and we won't object to your licence renewal, which is just outright. And then it was requirements around CCTV, requirements around the number of duty managers, all that sort of thing. But if you agree to do what we say, we won't object to your licence. And it's just reiterating that is not appropriate. So if the police have grounds to believe that there is harm happening, then they can oppose the licence, but they can't threaten to oppose your licence because you're not agreeing to what's going on. If they have concerns, then it goes to the DLC, and it's up to the DLC to determine whether there's harm happening and what mitigation needs to take place to reduce that harm. Don't be afraid to go to a DLC hearing as well. Yes, they're a bit of a pain in the butt. It's a hearing, but it's better than getting into a negotiation with your local police or your medical officer of health if they're kicking up a bit of a stink. That's for the DLC to make that determination. Again, if anything is coming up, give us a call. We're really happy to help in that space and give some suggestions if need be. And with Blackpool, I was able to pull together some information for them that they've taken back to the crew down there. With the, as Terry mentioned, app is going great at the moment. I think we're up to about 8,000 users on the app, which was a huge increase from this time last year. Lee's doing a great job and lots of work happening there, and very soon we will have an update that lets you have multiple memberships in the app. That's the thing that we're working on, and it's probably been the biggest thing on the wish list for some time, so that's exciting. And then the other piece that the team is working on is the online sports registrations. It's a work in progress. We just really want to make sure that the platform is 100%. It's all working exactly as it should be. Get a trial done of it, which we'll be hoping to have in place early next year. But otherwise, it's just we're really excited for what's to come next year and getting some things on the ground.
Do you want to mention where we are with darts?
We've had some initial discussions as a team on darts and what's going to be happening there. Say this in the nicest possible way. I think that the Darts Clubs New Zealand Darts Association are quite focused on just doing their own thing. So we're going to be working with a couple of clubs to pull together initially a Clubs New Zealand North Island and Clubs New Zealand South Island event. without the Darts Association, and just get darts back up, Clubs New Zealand Darts back up and running along the method again. So Kate and Keith are working together at the moment and talking to a couple of clubs about putting their hand up to host those initial tournaments. Yeah. Any questions? No, you're all pretty happy.
Lovely. Thanks very much,
Thank
Lucy.
you.
Okay, club reports. If, just reminding you to state your name and what club you represent, and we'll start on the left. Mr. Rowe.
I'll stand up. John Rowe, Horowhenua Club. Welcome. Not a lot to report. Things, I guess everyone's taking it. Things are pretty tough at the moment, and I don't think we're on our own with that. Our board is working hard to make changes, make adjustments, cutbacks, and everything else to make sure we're still returning a profit at a reasonable way through hopefully what is a short-term sort of downturn. Back in September we had our elections and welcomed both Ian Davidson and what's really good about it, Alan Davidson, not related, but both of them surname Davidson, so it makes my life a lot easier. So this is their first meeting, so welcome guys, and I'm sure you'll get to know the guys over lunch later on. Which, as I said, we're tweaking a few things around, but the club in general is going well. I had some very buoyant members come up to me just the other day, and they've just basically turned around and said to me, you know what, our club is bloody lucky. And I said, what are you talking about? And they says, the fact that we've got the membership we have, that everyone chips in, knocks in, and just helps out. And I'll just sort of say very quickly that if any of you guys have got problems with your clubs that members can help with, just enhance them and love them, and you can pass that love on, and it goes down a real treat. We're really riding the back of that. So other than that, I don't really have a lot to report on, because things are just sort of running through the Christmas period, the busy time. We're very successful Melbourne Cup Day. Other bits and pieces, we have our annual sports awards going on next week as well. So yes, things are pretty busy doing that. So nothing further to report, Your Honour.
Thank you, John. Tony? Yep.
Hi, Steve Bound for Tony Club. Firstly, apologies from our president and vice. They're away on the golf tournament. Talking of tournaments, I'm proud to say that Lower Hutt RSA, which is part of our club, won the fours at the national RSA tournament, so we're pleased with that. We also had our elections back in October. There was only one change to our committee, which is Sue Smart joining us, which is Johnsonville's lost. Sorry guys. And the rest of us all stand as we have done. I myself have been on there for 10 years, so obviously the membership is quite pleased with what we're doing. Our membership is increasing steadily. Well, we're getting 80 plus members come through per month. However, they're dropping off at the other end with the age thing and people moving around the country. So net gain is very little. Although we are pleased to have the 80 coming through. Last meeting, I think we were slightly worried that we were losing our long-term catering manager, who's been there for over 20 years. Our new one has fitted in quite nicely, and our bistro is still booming, I'm pleased to say. Labour weekend, we saw over 300 players turn up for a poker competition. They came from all over the Mutu, so that was very successful again. 3-day competition that was. We also have our charity fishing competition coming up with over 300 members. It's 300 participants hopefully taking part in that. That's Waitangi weekend. So if we've got any fishermen here who like to join charity tournaments, feel free to contact me. Last week we also hosted a Melbourne Cup Day, successful, and from what I've heard from other clubs, every club seemed to have a successful Melbourne Cup Day, although not many people won. So we currently have scaffold up at our club. If anybody's driven past, you'll probably notice. We've finally got the money together and we are having a new roof fitting. We don't like spending money until we've got it at the Tony, and we've now got the money and we are now doing our roof. So what will follow after we've got a secure roof with no leaks is yet to be seen, but we've got lots of things in the pipeline, and thanks to other managers for helping us out with our looking for contractors for doing our bathrooms. Our pokies have been replaced regularly at about 3 a year, which proves beneficial. New pokies seem to bring in new punters. So if you are a pokey-based club or take a lot of revenue from pokies, please bear in mind keeping machines up to date. I'd add we're still sticking to that policy of not spending money until we've got it. And apart from that, all things are good at our club, and we're quite comfortable and enjoying our run of success. And our labour market doesn't seem to be turning over too quickly. Our senior staff do not seem to be leaving us. The younger ones, obviously, because they're college and university, they're turning over quite quickly. But most of our other staff members are sticking with us, which is also a great sign because we value them. Right, that's it from us.
Thank you. John,
Okay,
working on.
the list, and here we are, John Cook, Wairarapa Club. Our club is continuing on a normal basis, I think one could say. We've had some successful functions of late. Horowhenua went extremely well, and the Melbourne Cup last week the same. And members are maintaining that normal interest. Okay, our membership is remaining at around about the 800 level, just over 800, which is the trend that we have, being a smaller club up our way. Adjuncts are functioning well, particularly our sporting adjuncts, both billiards, shall I say, snooker and 8-ball. 8-ball team went to Manuela and managed to bring home the trophy from there, which we were very pleased about. And both adjuncts are functioning well. What we're trying to do at the moment is to find out how we can accommodate the increased interest in the amount of space that we haven't got. So there's a certain amount of discussion going on there in that way at the present time. As far as gaming is concerned, we've replaced 3 of our machines in recent times, and that has shown a reasonable lift, I think, in line with the normal trends that one sees perhaps in the present economic situation. In that area, one of the things that we have noticed of late is coming from, shall we say, a more Asian community, Wairarapa, which is having more, shall we say, the older generation finding its way up our way. There has been, I think, an indication of economic pressures coming on, to the extent that members who have speak to me confidentially and make the comment that where they were buying 2 glasses of wine come in, they were only buying 1 glass of wine, or where they were coming to 2 club nights a week, they're coming to 1 club night a week. And that's just, I think, a trend. I don't know how other clubs are perhaps finding it at the present time, but I thought I'd just comment that it's coming through, I think, perhaps with the economic pressures that are there. It's quite a while now since we had our AGM, because of course we had that back in July. We haven't been able to see our group since then. At that AGM, we had 2 new members who joined our board, both people who come from significant commercial backgrounds and who are bringing a new light onto the board, which has been very, very helpful. They have been positively contributing to a line of thinking. We have people who have retired from the board in a rotation situation, and that we find has been helpful. We have our restaurant operating again. You'll recall at times we've had to be without that. Not without its problems and getting it organised, but people are starting to come back and perhaps just appreciate having good basic New Zealand type food perhaps in that area, and getting interest there. So the club has got a good heart with our level of membership. We're always looking, of course, to see how we can increase the numbers, particularly to get younger people involved in the Wairarapa area. We're working hard on that, and it is difficult. One of the things, as some of you know, that we've been trying to redevelop the building, the capital process. We're still having that problem with the Capital Coast District Council in relation to acquiring the land, I won't go into that again now, because those of you that have been with us for some time know that problem. Just to get hold of a strip of land and be able to get on and consolidate 2 titles seems to be something you need to have a new government for, or something, I don't know. But we battle along with that and see where we're going. So, Mr. Chairman, I think that probably covers where we are at the present time.
Okay, thanks, John. Johnsonville.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Barry Morrison, club manager at Johnsonville. Apologies from our outgoing president, Jonathan Moulton. He was at Auckland last night at the Pearl Jam concert, along with Lucy and co. But I'm pleased to have our incoming president-elect, Paul Johansson, with me this morning. And our AGM is next Sunday, and it'll be ratified there. We've got some new members coming onto the board as well, so significant changes in the leadership and governance at the Johnsonville Club, which is an exciting time for us since the last group meeting in May. I think JB announced that we were sort of struggling a bit, and the first part of the year was bloody tough for us, as it was for a lot, but I'm proud of the way we've turned the corner, and it coincides with us bringing the bistro back in-house under club operation after being outsourced. A bit like John at Wairarapa, some of our members have taken to the idea, but still getting used to the fact that we're open a lot more. We're serving New Zealand style food, including pork and ham, which wasn't available in the previous. And we're getting some great response and feedback from our members and guests on the quality of the food. We're looking to boost the profile with some significant radio investment over the next 12 months to make that business tick. What's happened is, since we brought the bistro in-house, everything basically that I sold the idea on to the board has come to fruition. It's not making money as a standalone, but it's bringing extra bums on seats, and those people are bringing extra coin over the bar and into the game room. And as a result, since May, we've turned a profit after depreciation every month, one. So we're looking pretty good. The future is bright for Johnsonville, especially the turnaround in gaming. It's given us the confidence. The board signed off last Monday on a close to 80k investment into the gaming room and new machines, something that hasn't been done in that room for quite some time. So we're looking good at Johnsonville. We've got a membership that's hovering around that 1,300, as Steve alluded to it for Tony. He picks some up, some fall off the other end. We're just trying to get that balance where growth outweighs the declination decline. But looking forward to the next 12-month period at the Johnsonville Club.
Thanks, Barry. Club Carterton.
Morning, people. My name's Bruce Winter, President from Club Carterton. Just recently, or back in July, should I say, we had our AGM. Once again, we've brought on 2 new members. Both of these members have been in corporate businesses, so their expertise has been very helpful. We have struggled within our committee of getting members because, with Carterton being a small place, predominantly us elder people over the age, I think if I recall our last balance thing was that 80% of our members are over 70, which makes it very hard to get people to come on with the younger people to fill up vacancies and things. And we have struggled with our committee because we haven't had a full complement, unfortunately. Further on with that, to the good side of it, our membership since the beginning of this financial year, March, at our last meeting, I mentioned that we were very close to one stage closing the doors. We were down to under 200 members. We are now 521 since March of this year. So it's great to have that amount of membership build up. However, the downside to us, we're getting the membership, but they're not utilising the premises. And that's the major concern that we're finding. And as the previous speakers have said, it's people are now, I can't afford to. I used to come 3 nights a week. I used to come twice a week. Now I'm down to once a week. So it is hard. We're encouraging, having taken over the restaurant ourselves now and have our own kitchen staff, we are encouraging younger members, we're encouraging families. And we're starting to see on our Sunday, which is a roast night, that we are turning over where normal Sunday trading, we would probably have around about 10, 12 meals. Last Sunday in particular, there was 98 meals went through our kitchen. So we've found the trend now, and I think I mentioned this last time, the trend is people are not coming in to drink. They're coming in to eat and having a drink with it. Where in the past people used to come for a drink, oh, we'll have something to eat while here. So our focus now is more on getting the young people in, on working on the kitchen, getting the food up, and then of course the whole side of it is a changeover. We've had 2 new ales put on since they've come on board, and that is the ginger beer, the alcoholic ginger beer, which has gone through the roof, and we've had problems with DB being able to supply us with enough kegs. So that's a good thing. And we have just this week put on the new one, which is a lemonade, alcoholic lemonade, put through by Tuatara. So we'll be interested to see how that's going. In September, we ran the North Island Paradarts competition. This is a new competition that's been set up since 2023 through New Zealand Darts Council. It's for people with disabilities. There's 2 sections, it's what they term an upright and a wheelchair one. And we had 10 entries into that. We're very proud at Club Carterton that our chef, unfortunately, is going to be away from the 18th of November through till 30th of November. He has qualified as New Zealand's #1 upright darts champion, and him for Paradarts, and they are going to the Netherlands to represent New Zealand at the World Paradarts Championship. So as a club, we're extremely pleased and privileged to have that on our side. Coming up, from the 26th of this month till the 30th, Club Carterton is hosting New Zealand Karaoke Championship New Zealand. We understood it was the whole of New Zealand, but having seen the list coming out, we're having people that have qualified for heats throughout the country, but we've flexed back. It's only the North Island, but we have them coming from Kaitaia right down to the bottom of the North Island. So we're looking forward to hosting that. There's 2 heats a day, 11 o'clock and 4 o'clock, and then Friday, Saturdays, the semi-finals, and Sundays the finals. So we're looking at having a good turnout and good support for people. So if you're interested in karaoke, you're more than welcome to come over and visit our club. We'd love to see you over there and taking part in all our things. Reiterating on what Lucy's mentioned about special licenses, we were having great trouble getting special licenses. We were going backwards and forwards because they changed the criteria where it all had to go into Wellington, and it was becoming very frustrating. We fortunately have a very active mayor in Mr. Ron Mark, and him being a member of our club was a great asset to us. So Ron offered to deal with it for us on our behalf. He has managed now to talk with police headquarters, and all our special licenses now have been taken away from Wellington and will be dealt with directly through the Wairarapa District Police. So it's back in the local community who understand what we're about. So that's been a big turnaround for us, and something that we were very grateful for Ron stepping up to do. So on that, that's about all I have to do for this meeting.
Lovely. Thank you, Bruce. Stokes Valley RSA.
Yeah. I'd love to have some of your members. Shane Parks, Vice President of Stokes Valley RSA. This is my first time here. I'm not too sure how many been before me. Our membership is under 300, over 286. We're small. We own our own building, our own land. We are only open certain days, certain times, so we're very limited Wednesday to Saturday, but Wednesday, Thursday are limited. We've got a great people in on Friday for cooking. They come in, they're wonderful. That's where we're getting our bums on the seats, like you're saying. Fantastic menus, 8, 9, 10 choices of the main, desserts, $22 for main, 6 for a thing. We're getting people in, we're getting families in. Not exactly everyone's great drinkers, but that's okay. We're getting people in. We're also doing a lot more advertising. I'm pushing the Facebook, sounds good. But we've got our community behind us. We're pushing out what we're doing. We're getting people coming in. We're getting the shows, like, again, it's only on Friday nights because we're a small club like Blues Brothers and Kenny Mills doing Elvis Presley impersonations. On the downside, we're going to the members' special meeting, read the pokie machines. We've got these pokie machines a few years back, say 6-7 years ago, when the economy was great. They brought in a lot of money and they kept our club going, and that's what we relied on to keep our club going, was the pokies. The pokies, unfortunately, COVID, everything else, it's not keeping, it's struggling. The 11,500, I think, is our audit bill, is just really not worth what's bringing in. Also, people are not spending money on pokies, they are buying our raffles, because I'm selling raffles as well. So they'll put their money into raffles rather than pokies. So we're onto the membership to say, hey, can we get rid of the pokies, rather than telling them we'd like to get rid of the pokies, they're not making us money, we're actually losing. Well, not yet, we'll be losing. So we've asked the membership to, we're asking the membership to please let us let them go. At the moment, we've changed pokies. The new other pokie machines came in April of this year, but it's just not. We just don't have the membership. We're under 300. We're bringing people in, but we're not bringing in enough to sort of warrant it. Personally, I hate pokies, but it's not for me. So our membership is gradually going up. We're not. I know we, like most, we die. A lot of them die off. They're a little bit old in the RSA, but there's some new people coming through, and there's, as you said, your territorials of all that come in, and we fight with treadmill. But our main lot of people come through for darts and for snooker, and our darts and our snooker teams are quite in Straits Valley, and I understand our indoor bowls is quite good. I don't think there's anything else other than we are advertising and we're pushing ourselves and we're keeping our head above water, and that's the main thing.
Lovely, thank you. Upper Hutt.
I'm on the short straw. First of all, apologies from both our president and vice president. Our executive is so committed to the club that our president went home after the previous board meeting and had a heart attack. I promise it wasn't anything that I said, although his memory was affected, so I did remind him we did my pay review that night as well. So yeah, he's well though, but he's recovering. And our vice president is unwell, possibly food poisoning, not from here, but also had 3 big days, I understand, so it could be anything. So our report, I guess the club is now starting to recover from the shock of having a female talkative manager. We've just finished our financial year and going through our audit process. Everything so far has been tickety-boo, and our executive and staff have worked extremely hard to come from a position that was a wee bit tough earlier in the year, and we've exceeded our expectations. We've kind of, from the time I came in, I kind of said we need to go back to basics and we need to sort of do a reset, which everyone has been really supportive in doing, and that's kind of been, I think, what's given us the ability to get the results that we have. We've been able to cut costs. We're redoing our maintenance at the moment, which is quite cool, and we've got lots of things on the horizon. Just finishing off our busiest week of the year with Melbourne Cup, like everyone else. We had a great day. We had ticketed event down front of the big screen, 160 tickets, which were sold out, which was awesome. The back of the club was full, and this room was opened up as a punters lounge, and that was full as well. So we were blessed with having a great day. I did make a little bit of money, thanks very much. Melbourne Cup raffle. It was quite good, although some of the punters have been buying raffle tickets for years. We're not that happy that I walked in my first year and bought a horse, and then to come third. So that was good. Followed by we had the ladies. We had Magic Men on Friday. 400 tickets sold out, which was awesome. And just pleased that didn't have to try and wrangle anyone. Of course, we've got charity today, and we've had a bunch of other events as well, which has been awesome. I think that's the beauty of a venue such as this, is for us, I completely agree with John's comments about, members do. I think that there has been sort of a change in people's habits. They can't come every day, so they're picking and choosing. The blessing that we have is that we've got plenty going on all of the time, so they can pick and choose what they want to come to, and they're still, it's not just expecting them to come and sit at the elite night. So we have our AGM in 2 weeks' time. Really looking forward to that. And we have our election for our executive on the following week, at the end of the month. So our President Don McDonald is standing down at this time. I think probably a chance to focus on his health. We've got 2 other executive members that are finishing up. Steve Leach, who's been on with us for 15 years, and Mark Southern, 21 years on our executive. So we're losing some notable experience, and then we're also losing one of our other younger board members who was with us for 2 years on the board. But they are being replaced, I think, 4 quite young board members, which will give us another view of the club. Luckily, we've held some really good experienced executive surrounding me at the moment. So that will help sort of bring new ones through, I think, which will be awesome. So I think it's going to be quite an exciting year coming up. Just trying to think if there was something else. Oh, to Hironika, can I take this moment to...
Yes, you can.
Cool. So to Hironika races on Waitangi weekend next year. For the last couple of years, Cosy has kind of taken the lead in organising a Clubs New Zealand event. Clubs New Zealand have been on board for 1 or 2 years as the main sponsors.
2 years.
And have again agreed to be the main sponsor for this year to the tune of about $10,000. So I think it is an absolute great event. We put out, I think the tickets are $55. That includes lunch, your entry, and 4 drinks. And then we have an on-site bar as well, and there's B-way option as well. So for people, we have some covered areas, tables and chairs, and then this year, due to feedback from the last couple of years, we've actually been able to add a lot more space as well. And we've also negotiated some good rates on smaller marquee areas, and there'll be an area if people want to bring their own marquees. So last year was absolutely stifling, and it was so hot we got to the point where we sort of went table by table to go and get lunch because we didn't want people standing in the sun. So the only one that went loopy was me as I was going around. But it's a great day. We have put out the posters to sort of 4 or 5 clubs so far. So we really hope you get on board. But anyone that hasn't got one, that we'll make sure it goes. We'll get Clubs New Zealand maybe to send some resources out. We want to make this as good as Methven down in Christchurch, which is kind of like, what, 400 odd people?
They get about 450.
Yeah, so we're up to about 200. So get on board. It is just a really fun day. The more clubs that we get involved, the better we can sort of negotiate with the likes of Clubs New Zealand and other suppliers to get some, good fun things happening. So yeah, while the managers can put the posters up on the wall, they can't push it around to membership. So this is where we need all your executives to get on board and go, hey, this actually sounds cool. Let's support Clubs New Zealand and get some people to come along, whether it's on a bus, in a car, and or there's a camping ground for motorhomes right beside the track. So yeah.
Hey, can I just interrupt there, Lisa, and endorse that statement? You know, Clubs New Zealand putting $10,000 into this, and it's something that they're doing, and it's basically for the Wellington area. No one from Auckland's really going to take advantage of it unless they want to come down, and same with Christchurch, unless they want to come up for it. $10,000 is a significant contribution by Clubs New Zealand, and we owe it to them to support it. And I think it's pretty disappointing the last couple of years it's only been certain clubs that do it. I can endorse that. It has been a bloody awesome day. we're actually going to be caravanning this year, so we don't have to drive anywhere. But yeah, please make sure you do get them support, even if you're a local club. We just need to get them support.
And because we've got everything out so early this year, which I think last year in everyone's defence, we were probably a little bit late in getting stuff. It was early January for the February 6th. So, but we've got it out now. It all looks really amazing. We've got some fun stuff planned.
Thanks, Lisa. And just to add to that, Clubs New Zealand will be sending out a message to my area, which goes to Foxton on that coast and to Gisborne on the other coast. So every club in my area will get some flyers and things and telling them about the camping that's available down there. And I know a certain person in Dannyburg, Peter Shaw, he's a huge punter, and I know he's got a caravan. So the message will be going out to all clubs in my area. Okay, South Wairarapa.
Thank you. Garth Harold, President of South Wairarapa. We can be up in Greytown. Firstly, some good news. I think we had a great year to June, 12 months to June this year, a great financial result for the club. And the 4 months since have also been very good. The only downside, I guess, is our gaming income is down below budget. I guess that's a sign of the economic times, but also I think the club needs to look at its replacement policy for gaming machines. We haven't looked at that for some time. And I think we find the new machine, people go to the new machine. We've got quite a few older machines, so we're looking at our replacement policy to try and lift our income for the gaming. You may remember 6 months ago at the same meeting I talked about, we just had appointed a new manager. He was not from the hospitality industry, which is I guess a bit of a risk for us, but I can say that he's absolutely first class. Mike here is doing a great job for the club. He's brought some new ideas. He's had a fresh look at things and raised a lot of good ideas and the profile of the club in the Wairarapa. So it's a good win-win for the club. Just shows you don't need to have hospitality people, if you like, with due respect, going into your club and running it for you as a manager. The membership, we're running at about 1,600 financial members, which is really good. It's up all the time. We're putting on new members because we're losing a few, as other people said. The good thing about it, though, is that the demographics have changed. We're getting a lot of younger people coming into Greytown, and they're joining the club, and they are coming to the club. So that's the two win-wins. They're joining and they're coming along, and their families as well. So it's causing some good ideas, and that's filtering through to our kitchen. Members are coming with their children, having meals and things. So again, it's a win for the club. The only other thing we're looking at as a club is our capex. We've got money in the bank, but we haven't had a look at for some time spending stuff on our infrastructure. I'm talking here about sound systems, air conditioning, toilet upgrades, general painting around the club. We need to lift the actual the physical profile of our club, and the committee this year looking at drawing up an extensive capex program and prioritising that, how we go through and spend some money for our members at the end, that they give it back to the members. There's been a bit of talk at our AGM about that. What are we doing with the money in the bank? It's nice having money in the bank, but are we giving it back to the members? So we need to be looking at that. And picking up on what Lisa said about the Te Ranikau, yes, we have been remiss as a club and we're close to Te Ranikau, let's be faced, and we haven't been going for several years, so that will be changing this year. Let me assure you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'll sit through it.
Okay. Last but not least, general business. Is there any general business? Bruce.
I have one concern, and I think it might be a lot that all of our clubs have, and that is with our liquor licences. As you're aware, the establishment can come onto our premises at any time and audit us, and if we're not complying, in particular to people coming in to utilise and use the club. If we are deemed to have someone inappropriate on our club, the bar person or person on duty can be fined, and we as a club can be fined. However, my concern is that as far as I am aware, that person that comes onto our premises is abstained from any penalty whatsoever. So there's nothing within that situation whereby it is deterring people from entering our premises and using the facilities and thinking, well, I don't care. And if you get someone that has a snitcher on you, well, this is a way I can get back at your club. It does concern me because we're putting a heck of a lot of onus on your bar staff and your club people as well, your members, in facing these fines, and we can't afford to do that. So I would like Clubs New Zealand to come and see if they can do something, and whether there's a way of changing that, and that within the legislation that the person who comes onto your club knowingly that they're not to be there is given a penalised as well, and it's not left solely on the shoulders of the clubs and their staff. Thank you.
We can definitely raise that. For full transparency, we've reached out to a couple of ministers. Nicole McKee is the minister that's mainly dealing with salmon supply. So we've raised a few issues with her, and the message we got back was fully sympathise with you, agree that the system's not great, but it's not a priority for us. So we will keep banging that drum. We'll keep having those conversations, and I imagine if National get another term, that's when we might see them look at the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act.
In the meantime, Bruce, you just have to make sure your staff are fully aware that they have to ask a person to present a club membership.
Which we have done, and we've changed our membership and visitors, how they come in. They don't sign in at the door now. Brilliant. They have to go to the bar, and they have to be with the person who signs them in, or if they're an affiliated member, that we print out a slip for them to verify that they are a verified visitor.
I know the onus falls on the staff and duty managers in there, but at the end of the day, it is the legislation, so we just have to deal with it like that.
Yeah, you can't emphasise enough that the card has to be produced, because a lot of members run out of aren't financial members anymore. So they must always produce a card. The bar staff know you by name, but you've still got to show your card.
Yeah. Any more, GB?
I'll just add, because I forgot to mention it before, we have just in the last week set up a Facebook group for club governance, so very similar to the managers group, but aimed at governance. So that it is a private group. You have to request to join it. We've just named it Club Governance Connect. So if you go on Facebook, search for that, it'll give you an option to join. And that's just a place where you can go, you can ask questions of each other. It might be middle of the year in between meetings. If you've got a burning question, you can throw it in and just connect with other people. Yeah. So that's there for you guys to utilise.
Just one last comment from me. In the last meeting, I mentioned about clubs that have cell phone towers in their car parks or attached to their buildings being approached by, I can't remember the name of the company, it's an American company, but it was a New Zealand-based branch of them approaching to try and take over your contracts. I can tell you that company has now withdrawn all offers and have slowly disappeared off the face of the earth. So they didn't get what they wanted. And one last thing, the comment made from General Petoni over getting your roof replaced. I know of 11 clubs in my area that are doing their roof. Majority of medium-sized clubs, or a lot of clubs really, are asset-rich and cash-poor, and their building maintenance is really what's pulling them back, and they've got no way of moving forward. Every time they make a profit, it goes straight back into the building, and the cost of the roof is anything from 100 to 120,000 around that figure, maybe more depending on the size of your building. One last question. How many clubs have recently put their bar prices up? How many clubs have recently put their bar prices up? And how many clubs are looking to do it before Christmas? One, okay. And how many clubs here actually put their prices up when you had the excise increase back in April, I think that was, or was it June? I can't remember. June. Yeah, June. Yeah, yes. So what I've slowly been discovering out there, the number of I attended 6 AGMs in the last 6 months, and the number of clubs that didn't put their prices up at all and tried to be the nice executive and keep their members happy are the ones that are really struggling, because in one case they cost them $30,000 to sit on their prices for nearly a year. So just be mindful that you really need to do it. Looks like most of you are up with the play, and just really be mindful of that. You can't play the nice executive or the nice guy as president and keeping Joe Bloggs happy if the club's going to go under because you're not doing your due diligence.
We're there for our members, but we've got to keep our margins.
That's right. Yeah.
Dave, I just want to open the floor up for some conversation. Come to heads when I went to a managers conference up in Wellington, and got the cold shoulder saying that would be the last managers conference that a president or a board member could go to due to the fact that there's issues with some club committees and management. This year we wanted to go to Australia to look at the expo. Basically we were told that we're not welcome to go as it was a managers conference, only to find out that it was that poorly supported that you came back and had another one anyway. I'm just wondering if there's a better way that we could look at it, because again we're off. So there was Australia, then there was the Christchurch for the managers, the second managers conference, and now we're off to Christchurch again for conference next year. I just want to get some thoughts out there as, can we be doing something better? Can we be going to one conference a year? Can we be going to 2 conferences a year, splitting the groups into managers and then to go away and do what they've got to do for 24 hours, taking the committee members, presidents aside to do a day's training or whatever, getting together for one day for what's really pertaining to such as the AGM and so on, and doing that. I just think having 3 this year in the current times of hardship was pretty poor, and yeah, I just want to put it out there that I think we do need to start looking at things realistically and not having, and did we need to have 3 conferences, particularly where 2 of them presidents and committee members couldn't go to.
You want me to put it? Take
take on board what you say. The managers conference is the managers group is independent. We provide support to them, but they are their own group, and they made that determination on what they were doing this year. It was a small group that went to Australia for that tour, but it was fully sold out. So they budgeted for that one coach. So we were. Well,
that's funny, because when they originally set it up, it was going to be up to 3 buses. I was heard in conversation.
Okay, my understanding was that it was sold out, and they were quite happy with what they budgeted there. There was obviously there were a couple of executive where the manager went on the tour, and then they met up with in Sydney. The executive went over and met up with them in Sydney for the AGE portion of it. So there were a few options there. Christchurch, that definitely was, the numbers were down, but that was an absolutely brilliant event.
Yeah, right.
And we are very concerned about some of our managers, the potential for burnout that's going on. So we want to make sure that there are spaces there for managers to get together, a little bit of unwinding, but also just development training. But we're open to talking about how we can do things better, definitely, and supporting the managers group and what they're doing. I don't know if Terry wants to add anything.
Yeah, I think that probably 10, 15 years ago, we used to have a president's forum at an AGM, and also an afternoon for the managers to go and do their thing too, and that slowly but surely died off, and now we just have a bit of a drinky on the first night. I personally didn't go to the managers conference in Christchurch this year because I did go when it was at your club last year, but I believe that it was their forum, and that it was a good time for them to have their discussions, and Lucy was having her first big get together with her team, and I thought it was better to stay out of it. I take your points on board. We have talked about this before, John. Maybe there is something that we can do for the presidents and executive, because I do believe that the managers group, as Lucy said, they're their own entity, and that's their forum, and they need that space given the pressures that they're under. But there's no reason why perhaps we can't look at something for presidents and executive. That's my thoughts.
Sorry, can I just add something? Because John, for instance, I was with you at Whangamata, and I was a bit angry at the time, because originally it was a management conference.
Correct.
And then it's kind of gone to the managers conference. But what and especially Christchurch was quite enlightening for me. What I've kind of since learned, I was quite angry because I have always had very supportive boards and good relationships with my president, who was my president for 11 years, and fantastic. What I found is you are not the average bear. In Christchurch, what definitely came out was that there was a very scaringly amount of just destructive almost relationships between boards and managers. There are managers that are getting to burnout, and we had Wiggy come in, and he did a bit of a mental health thing, and we were asked to write out some of the pressures, and then he basically read them out, and I was in tears by the end of it, because the stress, I'm going to tear up now, the stress that was in that room for those people. So I'm converted now that there should be a managers forum in some way, shape or form. But I also do believe that there is a really good opportunity. There's a lot of managers that come to the AGM that we could go backwards a wee bit, a few years, and introduce some, combined sessions.
There is a some discussion at the moment, just for Christchurch next year, about having on a Thursday evening prior to it all kicking off, an opportunity for managers to go somewhere, and then we'll have something at Richmond as well for the others that are down there that are not going to that managers meeting. So there'll be options available. So they're just working through that at the moment, rather than, as you say, having another event somewhere else for managers.
I just don't agree with Sydney being the managers conference, because it's something I wanted to go and buy furniture for argument's sake, or look at furniture. And the previous expos I've been to, it's been the best place to go.
I guess it just wasn't made clear that that you can go to the AGE anytime you want and do exactly what you're talking about. You didn't have to be part of the managers conference, and I went over just for the AGE and met the managers group there, and I was surprised. There was about 7 or 8 other clubs there where the executive had just come along for the AGE, which was good to see.
But the other thing that Lisa's just alluded to, there is total burnout in the room for managers and so on. Hey, don't forget about us. I'm still working a 42-hour week job, and sometimes 24/7. And I'm still trying to put my hand up and do my bit for the Horowhenua Club. It's bloody hard, and I get to the stage where it's, you know what, I've had enough. And it's always great to catch up with not just other presidents, but other club managers. And I've done that over the last 13 years of being president of the club. And just all of a sudden to have my knees cut off with that, it's just not.
As Lucia alluded, you're above the average bear. So.
Can I just suggest that for a workshop for the AGM, is you literally, because you have got some very good clubs and some very good club relationships, I'd love to see maybe have a panel of managers and the presidents and go, how does it work? Like, why does this work for you? And it's kind of because I can say to my president, this is you're in my space now, you need to move out, but what do you need? And actually go to show them examples of what it is that, your president doesn't show up drunk and sack staff members. No, this is an example that a manager rang me about last week. So this is real. There's someone literally, not this club, just saying, that a manager arrives, has a few beers, sacks the caterer, I think it was, or catering manager, and then can't remember it the next day. So, but maybe we have some panels just showing that of people that they can see. It's not a big expensive someone, it's people they know.
I think we have done that in the past, and it's not a silly idea to bring it back again.
Like that for the board meeting.
Mr. Chairman, in this day and age, hearing this discussion, why don't you table a regular managers and presidents or whatever meeting by Zoom? Then that doesn't cost anybody anything. Why don't you consider that?
Yeah, we could do that.
We do need a good half day on this.
I think the start is what Lucy's put up on Facebook with the governance page on Facebook. That's where you can fire a question like that in, John, and see what feedback you get.
Don't have to wait
No.
for quarterly meetings to connect with others and ask
Yep,
questions.
that's the beauty of that setup.
Yeah.
Right, any more general business?
Just one point I missed under my own Johnsonville.
Barry, yep.
Just to keep the good news story going, we celebrated our 25th anniversary Melbourne Cup Charity Day for Cancer Society on Tuesday. Given them probably about 7K this year. Out of that, after 25 years, they reported that they've received about 250K from the Johnsonville Plus.
Oh, very good. Okay, at last meeting in Petonia, it was agreed that 2 meetings per year. Is everybody still quite happy with that? Okay, anybody want to put their hand up for next year's meeting? Johnsonville? So it'll be late April, early May, sometime around there. Okay. All right, thank you for your attendance, delegates, and I call the meeting closed at, Lisa?
12:30.
21.
Snoopy says it's one hand
Where's Vicky now?
Please get yourself a drink at the bar, and lunch will be served in the Arcadia at 1 p.m.
Okay, just downstairs. Right.
I'll make sure you
It'll be easy to make working or the comms has gone down. Someone's put on the
First thing that shows up on
I better give Lucy a big cuddle.